Is Have a Nice Death worth our time? We're about to find out. Welcome, everyone, to episode 176 of 1 Hour, 1 Decision, 1H1D. I am Chris.
And I am Tom.
And we take 60 minutes and play a random game on Xbox Game Pass and decide, well, Tom, I don't even know what to say because I was duped by this game.
Oh,
were you duped?
Yes, a little bit. I suppose we'll get there. I like the title. Makes me think of Happy Death Day, the movies.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they made multiple of those, but
oh yes, they did.
Oh, well, they only made one of this, so we're going to be talking about Have a Nice Death by Magic Design Studios. This game came out on PC and Switch March of 2023, then on the respective PlayStation consoles of PS4 and PS5 and Xbox One and Series consoles, December 2023. I played this on the PC, and it was a respectable 1.89 gigabytes on the PC. Tom, what about you?
Unsurprisingly, a little bit larger on the Xbox Series S, clocking in at 2.29 gigabytes.
Okay, all right. That's not too bad.
No.
Given death a little more space on your console, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
make room for all the extra souls.
Ooh. Souls, but what kind of game is this, Tom?
I put side-scrolling platformer, but you're going to have some other opinions, I'm sure.
Yeah, I have a 2D side-scrolling roguelike.
Indeed it is. I am enjoying you trilling your R's, though.
Thank you. Yeah. We'll talk about our dislikes, but first, what is that game loop?
Okay, I put move right and beat up minions on the way to battle bosses and collect things on the way.
Yeah. I feel like you and I swapped places in the way that we described our loops. You were very literal in a sense.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of going a little more abstract here. And I said, go through runs and get upgrades to do more runs.
Yes. I'm in the micro level and you're at the macro level.
Yes.
There for sure.
Yeah. So
the loops in the loops.
The loops in the loops. Inception it is we are doing, but now we are doing our likes, Tom.
I very much enjoyed the opening cinematic about this overworked Grim Reaper.
Yeah. I agree. And like the art style in this game gave me vibes of like Billy and like the Grim Reaper, the show with Billy and Mindy or whatever that one. And then there was another show. I feel like it has that kind of same vibe.
Is it Grim Adventures?
Grim Adventures. Billy? Yes, that one.
Billy and Mandy.
Yes, that art style. And there was something I was thinking it when I was playing it, and now I've totally forgotten it. That's okay. But it is a really good looking game. I was really impressed with like just overall how like you said the intro was like incredible. Like it looked really good. And then like the game just is like buttery smooth throughout.
Considering how relatively small this is.
Yeah.
I think it looks great. It sounds great for the install size. Yeah. Like we would expect a game this small to be like pixel art.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't.
Yeah.
These are like hand-drawn style animated characters.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too. It looked like it was all like hand-drawn. At least it looked like that. I don't know if they're doing any sort of like trickery with 3D art. Characters or player models, whatnot, but it all looked like it was hand-drawn. And like you play as Death. And I guess we can kind of get into this here. So you play as the Grim Reaper, as Death, and you start off as a very tall, menacing character, but I guess he gets a little crazy about just taking souls. He gets a little too, and then he gets, I guess hires minions, or he creates minions that then go out and do his bidding. And because of that, he becomes like his body becomes like the way I described it when I was watching it was like he atrophied a bit. Like he was just nothing. He had nothing to do, so he was just became very diminutive, and then he finds out that there's just they've gone way too crazy about doing all this stuff. So he's got to go back into business.
Yeah,
he's got to take the corporation back by the reins and do his thing. So
the CIA had him pushing too many pencils. That's what happened there.
Exactly. Now it's time for him to bulk up again by beating up his minions. So yeah.
Yep.
And speaking of beating up, I thought the combat system was pretty good. It was pretty varied. You have a scythe as your starting weapon.
How could you not?
And then you just kind of switch things up a little bit here and there. You get to pick up weapons on the way, like you mentioned in your game loop.
Yeah, so, I think there's a really nice set of weapons and upgrades.
Yeah,
it's flexible, so you can swap things in and out as you get new things. You can bank things. And I felt like you were unlocking new ones of these at a pretty good pace.
Yeah.
Like throughout my hour, I felt like I was constantly getting new stuff.
Yeah.
Which is a good feeling.
Mm-hmm. I also appreciated that when you did get a new weapon, you don't immediately I feel like there was a couple of times in other games where you get the new weapon and you would immediately lose your previous weapon. I like that you could try it. And then if you do like it, you could take it. Otherwise, just drop it.
You know what it kind of reminds me of is Kirby.
Okay.
Where let's say you had an ability and then you see on the field another ability and you're like, I think I might like that better.
Yeah.
And Kirby can drop the ability that he's currently using, inhale the enemy, absorb that power, try out that power, and then expel it if he wants to go back to the first one. The thing with Kirby is that's all kind of on a ticking clock where you don't have a whole lot of time to try that because the power that you've expelled is kind of bouncing around, almost fading out of existence.
Okay.
But here, that is not the case.
No.
The X power, as you want to call it, is sitting there on the level until you decide what you want to do with it. And you can pick it up and bank it. And potentially sell it, or you can go back to using it if you don't like the thing you picked up.
Yeah, and I really appreciated that because we're playing a roguelike as it is, so being able to do that was nice. And again, I guess it kind of goes hand in hand with the animation. The game did overall feel very snappy. I thought the controls just felt pretty good overall, and there was. The game is pretty funny too. You meet a lot of characters and they all just got their own weird, morbid way of talking to you. And you are the CEO of Death Incorporated. So there is some fear that they are, that you strike amongst them. So it's kind of interesting to see that.
Yeah. I also put down that I enjoyed the grumpy protagonist, his silly employees, and just the overall plot is ridiculous, but ridiculous in a good way, right? But this game knows how to make fun of itself.
Right. And this is, we've talked about this before. This is a game that actually looks like the cover art.
Yes.
Which I appreciate also. I want to say I appreciate that.
No, I totally expected 8-bit pixel art in the game. And then when it starts playing and it's like, oh, it actually looks like the cover image. This is a nice change of pace.
It is.
It's going down in my likes.
And I guess you can think of it in this way. Roguelites have that potential of replayability, right? And this game, I think, adds a layer to that. Where, I don't know if you died in your playthrough.
I did.
Okay, and when you get to that point where you're at that let's say that floor for lack of a better term, because I think you're essentially
back
navigating
in the hub,
floors. Right? A hub floor, whatever. You learn about there's actually different difficulty levels that you can do as you get. There's actually a lower difficulty. I don't know how you get to that, but you can do that. and then as you increase your difficulty, you get like unlocks in terms of the types of weapons you can get picked up during your runs and stuff like that. So there's some flexibility there that I appreciated. And then there's like a nice little, like there are certain I think weapons or abilities that unlock as you like check off these kind of achievement lists, so to speak, like, you know,
yes,
X amount of kills, certain type of characters that you kill, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah. So there's that where you could kind of just keep getting better by just doing, like, you know, if that's one of your things that you want to do. So, you know, that's nice.
Yeah.
And
it's always good when you're playing a roguelike to have something that you come home with.
right.
Because it is very frustrating to die, and you want that time that you spent to mean something, and here it does. Like, you are making progress even when you're not making progress.
Right. Right. And then the other part of that, I guess, is it had a decent tutorial. And I think you put this on there as well. So you had this character. It was very, I guess, like muscly character where they literally have no skin. It's just they're showing their like the muscle striations on their body, basically being your little Sherpa, telling you how to, because you haven't been doing your duty in so many eons, how to do those things again. So it was nice to have that. And there was a thing. I don't know if you played Hades.
I did not.
So one of the things like that people were really into about that game was there's a story. Obviously, but the fact that the interaction between you and like certain characters in the world, especially as you die and come back, they recognize that you've died, like you've been there before. So their dialogue changes. And I noticed that here in this game, where they're like, the guy that you didn't beat, you're like, oh, he's like, you're back for more or whatever it is. He's like, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. It didn't feel like I was essentially resetting. It's resetting, but with this, this like now there's information there. And there's a whole stat list too. I forgot about that. That tells you how your run went and all that stuff. So, you know, for all you speedrun nerds out there, you can get all crazy about that if you like. So
yeah. It's all available to you.
It is. It's pretty packed. It's packed to the gills. I will say this game is with all that stuff.
I'm ready to talk about some things that weren't available to me.
Yeah, let's do it.
So my first dislike is where are all the health potions? Because when I started my first go through, the tutorial teaches you how to use health potions.
Right.
I had one for that part of the tutorial that I used.
Yeah.
And then I proceeded to not find any more.
That's interesting because I was getting them. The thing was, why did they have to make the health potion thing complicated?
It is quite complicated. And then some obvious things like, okay, so these things that you get, some of them are called curses.
Yeah.
And one of the curses is like, oh, it's going to increase your health bar. And I'm like, oh, great. In every other game that I've ever played, when you increase the health bar, like your health comes back.
It did not.
And nope.
It increased, but it just now it's less of a percentage of it. No.
Exactly. It was like, oh, you have 10 and you still have 10. Your maximum is now 100 instead of 90, but that's not making a lick of difference.
Well, yeah, why did they have to complicate health potions in this game?
I don't know.
And just so people understand, there are two types of potions, right? There is a blue potion and then there's a yellow potion. And the way the damage works in this game also is almost like a fighting game where you get injured, so you'll lose health, but you also lose like potential health.
Yeah, like a max. Your maximum health.
Right. Your max gets reduced. Yes, exactly. Your maximum gets reduced. Now, I believe the yellow potions increase that max health back to normal. And the blue refills your actual health. But then if you have enough blues, that gets converted to a yellow. Yeah. And I was like, what? Why? Just give me a potion.
Yeah.
Like
and if you
a small potion, big potion.
You tap the button and that uses the blue one. If you hold the button, that uses the yellow one.
Why?
I don't know.
Like, I mean, especially when you're like doing like boss battles and stuff like that. Do you want to be thinking about that while you're doing these boss battles? Again, and you have like three weapon types that you can use maximum. And then on top of the 3 weapon types, you have, I mean, again, I appreciate the depth of the combat system, but it gets a little like hairy because of that. And then on top of that, there's each of those weapons has a special move.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it's dense.
Yeah.
If you like dense, this is dense.
Yeah. Like I said, we talked about the variety, the density of this game. And this is the thing I have to bring up, because I don't know why I was under the impression that this game was like a Metroidvania at first. It kind of gives you that impression initially. And then there was things that like just started to slowly creep up. I was like, why am I going up a level like that? Because there was like even a map. I remember seeing like a mini map too. I was like, oh, okay, I'm building out this map. This is cool. And then like kind of disappeared. And then I just saw the floors. I was like, I'm going up a floor. I have to pick which path I have to go through.
Yep.
I was like, I died. And it said end run. I was like, no, they tricked me into a rogue. Like, what is going on here?
I also was duped. My line here is, it's a roguelite? Question mark. I didn't realize this, and now I don't like it.
I mean, yeah, it's just so funny. Like it
does kind of feel like a bait and switch.
Yeah,
it does.
It really did. I mean, that was Magic Design Studios. Well done for designing that. I guess if you really wanted people to think that it was a Metroidvania, and then flip it around and say, just kidding, it's a roguelite. And there is one thing about the combat animations. While they're all beautiful and stuff like that, I felt like a lot of times I got I got locked in an animation. So if I'm attacking someone that's like an aerial enemy, but I want to do a downward strike, I felt like I had to wait for that animation to finish and then I could strike down. So there was like a lot of delays almost in the input. I felt like in that particular, I'm being very nitpicky right now, but in that particular aspect of it, I was like, it was weird.
Since you felt kind of fighting gamey about it, it's weird that you can't do the interrupts, which you might expect in a fighting game.
Right. Yeah, and so it was just,
if your brain's being tricked into thinking it's kind of like a fighting game,
right? Because they talk about combos and all this other, because you with your different weapons, you can kind of chain attacks in a certain way too. So, and I don't know if this happened to you. I don't know if this was a bug, but there was a certain point in the very first run that I had, I couldn't jump. I was like, it just like my character just would not. I was jamming the jump button, which is A. Thankfully, it was the A button, but it would not work. So I had to navigate the level by doing like the upward strike and then the dashes. So it was really weird. And then like I got to the next level and stopped. So I was like, I thought, because like, we're talking about curses and stuff like that are there in this game. I thought, okay, did I get like a curse where I'm not allowed to jump anymore? So I don't know. It was weird. I didn't know if you experienced that at all.
I did not.
Yeah. Because they do say that there are certain, I don't know if it's a difficulty level or like there's like contracts and stuff like that are here in this game. It's so much. There's so much stuff going on in this game that like, I don't know where to keep track of it. And yes, you have the book, you have this gigantic tutorial and all that.
Which you can reference.
Yeah, you can reference.
Pause the game and go back and look at the tutorial at any time.
You can pause the game, but can you save the game, Tom?
No, it's on my dislikes. No ability to save midway, so you got to either beat the boss or die trying, and that's when you can stop playing this.
Yeah, that's unfortunate too, because I felt like, again, it's like that, like they penalize you in this kind of roguelike fashion that, hey, you need to watch your kids or whatever. Just kidding. You can't do it. You have to quit the game and start all over again. I'm like, okay, that's frustrating.
I would like these things to like when you get to like pick the next floor, like there should be an option there to probably like save and exit.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like maybe you can't save in the middle of a level when things are flying at you or whatever.
Sure.
But it's like, okay, I finished the floor. I'm at the point where I'm going to pick the next interaction.
Yeah.
Let me stop here,
Yeah. And we did play a game, Neon Abyss, that was like that, where it gave you the option to do that. But what they did, which I thought was kind of crappy, was then you would lose your achievements if you're an achievement hunter.
Yes.
So that was like,
I recall that.
But why penalize someone for doing that?
I don't know. I guess some of the allure of these sorts of games is the challenge.
Yeah.
It's the hearkening back to the NES era where you couldn't save in the middle and you had to play it all through in one go and that sort of thing. But
well, get with the times.
These are modern times.
Exactly. Get with the times.
We're old fogies here. We don't have time for this.
And speaking of old fogies, there was another game that recently came out. Oh my God, another Crab's Treasure. And that game is very much a Souls-like game, but it had a lot of awesome accessibility options in it. And like, I know this game came out earlier than that, but it was still nice to have, like, just give some sort of like leeway for the weak and feeble like myself when I play this game, like to be able to get through. Because like I was kind of interested in the story, like what was Death going to do? How is Death going to clean up this whole thing? It would have been nice to be able to just kind of breeze my way through and get through the whole story and whatnot. But
especially because it's kind of a funny, silly game.
Yeah.
Like, there's this juxtaposition of this kind of torturous at points combat or I died multiple times at the boss, which is incredibly frustrating because you get all the way to the boss and then I die because I fumble the buttons, or I die because I couldn't heal before and I had 10 health. And that was not enough. I'm not that good to not get hit at all fighting the boss.
Yeah. And like, while this game does generally give you a lot of positives, there are a lot of times where like you get to one of the levels that you pick as you're going up these floors is like one of those like where like you can't get hit by someone. And then like the whole thing is just removed. It's like, it's a failure, complete failure if you get touched by one thing. I get it. Like, especially at this particular level where like you're at the beginner level and you're giving me this kind of ramped up difficulty. Like that's kind of crummy.
Yeah. Save that for later in the game when a person's a little bit more experienced.
Exactly.
Shouldn't be throwing at that somebody in the first hour.
Oh, well, it is what it is, but
indeed.
So yeah, are we good with our shall we get to our final thoughts there?
Yeah, I think we've beaten the roguelite horse to death.
We've done enough runs here to go through it. Okay, cool. So how long to beat says this game can take 8 hours or 62 hours, depending on your, one is like the golden path or like the completionist kind of thing. So, but this game does have Xbox Play Anywhere, and you can play this on xCloud. Cloud saves transfer between your PC and console. So all good stuff right there. So, Tom, what about you? What tidbits do you got?
Okay. There are over 70 unique weapons and spells.
Wow.
And so you can combo these things into, lots and lots of ways to kind of kit out your character. I also found it quite interesting that there's a web comic that's like fully done in color and expands the universe and the lore, and it's free and it's on the company website.
Nice.
So, if you like the humor and the story of this, that's available to you. And I also saw that the previous game by this developer is another side scroller called Unruly Heroes, and that is co-op, which is interesting. So, you're used to seeing kind of beat 'em ups in that sort of style, but it's interesting to see, like, it makes me think of like New Super Mario Brothers, right? Where you have like a platformer that is multiplayer.
Wow.
But also
is the art style similar or?
Yeah, it's got a kind of vibe to it.
Oh, okay.
It even looked kind of familiar. Honestly,
I don't know. Yes, I think I have
but
seen this before. And I'm wondering if the is that's there it is. this is the same team that worked on Rayman Legends.
That makes total sense.
It does, right? It's yeah, they're so good. Like their animation stuff is like top notch. So I could see the pedigree here. So well done, Magic Design Studios. But yeah, okay. So Tom, are we keeping this game on our respective hard drives, or are we resetting this run for another game?
You know, Chris, and I think I say this a lot, but like my hour went by really quickly. That's usually a very good sign.
Yeah.
Because it means I'm having fun and not waiting for the hour to be over.
Yeah.
But I'll be frank, the inability to stop when I want is a deal breaker for me, because it is incredibly frustrating to be like, oh, I gotta do something else, and I can't.
Right.
The game is fun to play, but frustrating to keep replaying.
Yeah.
So if I was better at it, maybe I would keep it. But I don't know.
That's fair.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I'm so conflicted because this game felt really good to play. It did. Like the combat and everything overall, it just felt really good. But the roguelite elements of this game just really detracted from my experience. Like I was just like, if this was just like a Rayman game, I would have been through the roof. I would have played this. Like I played the hell out of this game. If it was like a Rayman game.
Yeah.
But there was like just enough of an itch of like the combat and stuff like that, and the lore that I kind of do want to at least give it a few more hours and see. Like so, I disliked it, but I still liked it enough for me to give it a few more hours, because I'm like, let's see, maybe it gets better or something like that. I do also want to point out though, there are a lot. Again, I know you haven't played it, but there's like some of the UI and stuff like that. I feel like they borrowed a lot from from Hades. And like I guess art is a whole thing about, imitation is the purest form of art and blah blah blah, all that stuff. But and then it is like I think learning from other people's successes is important, and I think they did too. And yeah, if you like roguelikes, I think this will definitely scratch that itch for sure.
Yeah.
So
if there was a way for it to save outside the boss and just give me a couple of attempts at the boss, that probably would have solved everything for me.
Yeah.
Like it's like playing Mega Man and getting the whole way through the level, fighting the boss and going, nope, no checkpoint. You got to go all the way to the beginning and start again. Yeah. Except imagine if instead of like 2 chapters before you fight the boss in a Mega Man game, you have 5 or something.
Yeah.
Like it's a long way to get to the boss.
It is.
And then to just fail and have to do it all again. Like, I don't have the patience for it.
No. So those are our thoughts. Let us know what you think of this game. Follow us and say hello on Twitter at TC1H1D and on Threads at TC1H1D. Shoot us an email at TC1H1D@outlook.com. Check out our next streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/1H1D. And hey, this is on YouTube as well. So if you're watching this here, just send us a comment down below and say why you think roguelites are great, and we will say you're wrong. But anyway, we also have other reviews of other games, all here on the YouTube channel, so check it all out. And 1H1D is part of this QTB network, so if you like gaming content, check it all out at quitthebuild.com/network, or even just here on YouTube. Okay, so Tom.
Yes, Chris.
We've got to find out what we're playing next, don't we?
Yes, that is a integral part of every one of these episodes.
Yes. Yes, it is. So we're not using the surprise button. We are playing Hellblade 2, or Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 on our next episode.
Chris is a cheater.
I'm a cheater.
I understand it.
Pumpkin eater, because it is a game. We are finally playing the sequel to a game, and in order.
This is why I'm not fighting you.
Yeah. So we're
gonna good to put it side by side against something else we've actually done.
Exactly. So I'm excited to try this game out, and because I did finish the first one, and that had a lot of high praise, and we'll see if this one continues that praise. But that is it for this episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, and we will catch you in the next one.
Thanks, everybody.